Today we dive into the world of fast-paced shootouts and pure adrenaline, because I've put together a list of the best FPS games you should play on Nintendo Switch.
While engaged in combat, locking onto foes is...
When Bulletstorm Duke of Switch Edition landed on the eShop on August 30th, 2019, it was like someone strapped a jet engine to the Nintendo Switch and let it rip. You step into the boots of Grayson Hunt, a sharp-tongued exiled mercenary tearing through the war-ravaged planet of Stygia, where every firefight is equal parts brutal and hilarious. And then comes the cherry on top, the Duke Nukem Tour add-on. The entire campaign can be played as the king of one-liners himself, Duke Nukem, complete with bubblegum-chewing swagger and attitude. The performance holds steady with a smooth frame rate, making every slow-motion kick and explosive combo feel crisp, whether docked or handheld. Sure, multiplayer didn't make the cut, but blasting mutants on the go with gyro aiming felt so natural that the omission hardly mattered.
I've been saving the world since before you were born. Yeah. I'm sure we're almost out of the woods now, though.
When Doom Eternal finally arrived on Switch on December 8th, 2020, it felt like hell itself had been packed into a handheld console. The original had stormed across other platforms in March, but Panic Button's legendary porting magic brought the full carnage, including the campaign, battle mode, and DLCS, into the palm of your hand. Visuals were scaled back, with 720p docked and 360p in handheld, but none of the chaos was lost. The gameplay was still blisteringly fast, feral, and fluid, with gyroscopic aiming giving that mouse-like precision fans crave. The HUD remained sharp and readable, and ripping through demons while commuting felt almost surreal. It wasn't just a scaled-down version, it roared with the same intensity as its big brothers, proving that hell can indeed fit inside a backpack. When Crysis Remastered arrived on Switch on July 23, 2020, it felt like the impossible had just happened. The shooter that once melted top-end PCs was now running in handheld form, and the Switch got it first, ahead of PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Dropping into that iconic nanosuit brought a wave of nostalgia, enhanced with new textures, lighting, and effects that gave the experience fresh life on a portable screen. The port drew from older console builds, so some rough edges and missing content like the Ascension level stood out at launch, but patches later filled in the gaps. Even with limitations, the achievement was remarkable. Crysis, the game that set the benchmark for graphics, was suddenly playable anywhere. Its blend of open-ended combat and sci-fi spectacle shrunk down into something you could slip into your pocket. RICO burst onto the Switch in March 2019 like a buddy cop action movie that refuses to let up. You and a partner take the role of reckless agents, given just 24 hours to dismantle crime syndicates by kicking in doors, firing off bullets, and leaving chaos in your wake. Every mission is procedurally generated, ensuring no two runs are alike, keeping the action fresh and unpredictable. Whether you grabbed it on the eShop at launch or waited for the European physical edition in June, the thrill was the same. Co-op shootouts filled with slow-motion breaches, explosions, and raw intensity. It's simple, stylish, and gloriously chaotic, delivering that perfect mix of arcade fun and cinematic flair in short bursts or long sessions alike.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RICO.
When Dying Light Platinum Edition landed on Switch on October 19, 2021, it wasn't just a port, it was the entire apocalypse bundled into one survival package. This edition includes the main game, the massive expansion The Following, the Bozak Horde, Hell Raid, plus a mountain of skin and weapon packs. Every rooftop sprint, every desperate night chase, and every bone-crunching melee strike was brought to life with gyro aiming and haptic feedback, making handheld zombie parkour more immersive than ever. Yes, the visuals took a step back, but the rock-solid 30 FPS and 1080p docked mode kept the experience sharp and responsive. Few games capture the feeling of danger and freedom like Dying Light, and holding it in your hands made the undead nightmare more intense and personal than ever before.
They were going to firebomb the city. I talked them into waiting because they want that research that you're carrying.
You'll get nothing from me.
I don't negotiate with assholes, Rise.
We'll fight them together.
The GRE plans to weaponize the virus, not to cure it.
Don't know how much this means to me, to all of us.
Quake II returned on August 10th, 2023, like a thunderclap from the past, reborn, refined, and loaded with extras. The enhanced remaster brought back the gritty sci-fi campaign in all its pulse-pounding glory. But this wasn't just nostalgia. Both mission packs, The Reckoning and Ground Zero, were included alongside the full Quake II 64 port and an entirely new expansion, Call of the Machine. Visuals were sharper, lighting cleaner, and the performance steady, but it still carried that unmistakable, relentless rhythm of classic Quake combat. On Switch, it was like holding a piece of FPS history in your hands, except this time it was polished with modern firepower and fresh content that made it feel brand new all over again. Turbo Overkill throws you straight into the metal-plated boots of Johnny Turbo, a man fused with machine, a walking storm of carnage unleashed on a city that's fallen into nightmare. Paradise, once his home, has been hijacked by Sin, a rogue AI twisting every soul under its control, turning the neon-soaked streets into a battleground of augmented killers and towering bosses. Your mission? Take it all back in the only way Johnny knows, by painting the city in chaos and blood. But Johnny isn't just another gun-toting anti-hero. He's got a chainsaw for a leg, and it's every bit as outrageous and satisfying as it sounds.
You fight. All of it meaninglessly.
Sir, go fuck them up. Your memories, everything that makes you you, fades.
When The Outer Worlds landed on Switch on October 25th, 2019, it was like a pocket-sized portal into the Halcyon colony, a sprawling sci-fi RPG dripping with satire, moral dilemmas, and corporate conspiracies. Wandering from world to world, making choices that shaped entire storylines, and flipping between loyalty and rebellion became something you could carry anywhere. The visuals took a softer turn, with textures and details scaled down, but the comic book-inspired art style carried it through beautifully. What really stuck, though, was the writing. Biting humor, layered characters, and tough decisions that made you pause before pulling the trigger. Playing this on the go felt surreal, like narrating your own space opera between bus rides. Despite some fuzz around the edges, the adventure was irresistibly addictive.
Remember, no matter what happens out here, it'll all be your fault. Good luck.
Bioshock The Collection arrived on May 29th, 2020, and suddenly the unforgettable worlds of Rapture and Columbia fit into the palm of your hand. This all-in-one package bundled Bioshock, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite, remastered with cleaner textures and smoother performance, but still drenched in the haunting atmosphere that made them legends. Exploring the underwater dystopia of Rapture, facing down Big Daddies, or soaring through Columbia's sky rails became an even more intimate experience on Switch. Sure, there were occasional dips in frame rate, but the sheer weight of the stories, the moral dilemmas, and the breathtaking art direction overshadowed any technical hiccups.
We've got trouble!
Go back to the Sodom from which you...
There's already a fight. Let me go! Catch!
That'll do!
Prodeus blasted onto Switch on March 23rd, 2021, like a time machine gone berserk, dragging retro shooter chaos into the present and turning it up to 11. The pixelated aesthetic collided with modern effects, giving every firefight a crunchy, explosive punch that felt both nostalgic and new. The levels were drenched in neon gore and relentless carnage, with a soundtrack that smashed your ears with heavy metal riffs and electronic thunder. Each encounter was a storm of bullets, explosions, and blood, pulling you into the kind of raw, visceral action that never let up. Wolfenstein II. The new Colossus stormed the Switch on July 29, 2021, dragging its bold alternate history and relentless action into handheld form. You step into the shoes of B.J. Blazkowicz, leading the charge against the Nazi regime in a narrative that blends brutal action with razor-sharp political undertones. It's a cinematic roller coaster of resistance, blending biting dialogue with explosions and set pieces that feel larger than life. On Switch, the visuals are dialed back, but the impact of the story and gameplay stays just as sharp. Snarky one-liners cut into firefights that explode with fury. Carrying a revolution in your backpack has never felt this intense, as every mission pulses with the feeling of starring in your own underground resistance film. Doom 3 crept onto the Switch on July 26, 2019, and suddenly the nightmare that once defined survival horror FPS was portable. This is the BFG edition, packed with the Resurrection of Evil and the Lost Missions expansions, all condensed into a handheld experience without losing the oppressive dread. The atmosphere is suffocating, flickering lights, echoing footsteps, and sudden demon ambushes that make your pulse spike. Even on the small screen, the horror holds its weight, with chilling sound design and a sense of claustrophobia that follows you through every corridor. Playing it on the go was like carrying a pocket-sized haunted house, where every corner promised something lurking in the dark. Metro 2033 Redux arrived on February 28, 2020, and brought with it the cold, suffocating air of Moscow's underground. This remastered version sharpened the details of every broken rail and flickering lamp, while the Switch preserved the haunting tension of its world. Gas mask filters ticking down, the hiss of distant mutants, the whisper of wind through abandoned tunnels. Each element wrapped you deeper in the atmosphere. Load times were longer compared to other platforms, but the immersion was undeniable. Exploring the darkness with scarce ammunition and flickers of hope made every encounter feel like a fight for survival. Holding Metro 2033 Redux in your hands was like carrying a ghostly diary of humanity's last breath, where silence itself became an enemy. Metroid Prime Remastered burst back to life in February 2023, bringing Samus Aran's legendary adventure into modern clarity. Rebuilt with crisp HD visuals, twin-stick controls, and gyro aiming, the game felt like a perfect harmony of nostalgia and reinvention. Exploring alien landscapes was more immersive than ever. Scan visor humming, eerie soundscapes echoing, and environments shimmering with detail. From puzzle solving to tense boss battles, every moment carried weight and elegance. Unlockable art and extras added layers of appreciation for longtime fans, while newcomers were swept into the grandeur of its world. On Switch, it wasn't just a return, it was a rebirth, a chance to relive one of gaming's greatest journeys with fresh eyes and a renewed sense of wonder.
Will not only grow your combat skills, but you'll also increase your ability to operate your movement and camera. You can also select controls that mimic those of the original Talon 4 in your preferred playstyle.